How are y'all doing, my folks? I am the Southern Nerd, and today I'm making a beginner's tutorial video of RimWorld. I'm doing this mostly for my girl, so I will be talking directly to her a little bit, but this should apply to everybody who wants to start up RimWorld for the first time, just to get your first colony going. Now, I have got a ton of mods, as you can see. I've disabled most of them because for this tutorial I want to keep it as close to vanilla as possible. But you just don't play vanilla RimWorld. You don't have the experience unless you've got a few mods at least. And I am including I whittled it down to the mods that I consider to be essential, for any RimWorld playthrough, even a beginner's playthrough. Now, core, this is what comes with the game. You don't have to download that. You definitely do not remove it. Hugs, Libs, and Jex tools. These are framework mods that you use as sort of like a platform for the other mods, and they always need to be right below core. It's core, hugs, libs, and jex tools, and then whatever else. They each have their own loading order, which you'll want to pay attention in the mod descriptions. Next, we have hospitality. This one is basically like you're setting up guest beds, and other factions can come visit you. This is a good way to recruit more pawns for your colonies. Now, when you recruit pawns this way, the other factions do get mad at you, but you can usually calm them down with more good visits if you're careful. If you're not careful, that faction, if you let their hostility get too high, they will declare war on you. So you want to keep them happy unless you just want a war, which may be. Allow tool. This will save you a lot of annoyance because the thing in this game, items, when they drop, are automatically forbidden by default. When you drop your gun, when your pawns drop their guns, it's automatically forbidden for some reason, which means that your colonists cannot just automatically pick them up, take them to storage, interact with them, and things like that. With the Allow tool, you just open up your architecture menu, you click the Allow All button, and anything on the entire map that is forbidden will be unforbidden. Prepare carefully. This is when you want to directly tweak your pawn stats. You can change pretty much everything. You change their name, their gender, their age, their stats, their backstories, etc., etc. I prefer to stick with the naturally rolled pawns, but sometimes I just keep hitting that re-roll button over and over again, and I just can't get the pawn with the stats that I need that doesn't have like an arm missing or something. So I just go into EDB, prepare carefully. Map reroll, same thing, but with maps. You get a starting place. You don't like it for some reason, you just hit that map reroll. It gives you a list of maps that fit that starting location, and you can just choose which one you want. I like this. If I accidentally get a starting location that already has an insect infestation, although 9 times out of 10, any other map I choose on that location will also have an insect infestation, but sometimes not. Camera. Now, by the default, in vanilla, you can only zoom in so much, but with the camera, you can zoom in pretty close. You can get a pretty good look at your pawns. And you zoom in with the mouse wheel. Prison labor. Well, this is one I'm surprised has not gotten more criticism, considering the people who have already gone after this game. But basically, in the game, when people attack you, or basically for whatever reason, you can take other pawns prisoner. And from there, you feed them, you can release them, or you can recruit them. With the prison labor mod, you can also make them work for you. Not like regular pawns. They're slowed because they've got chains around their feet, and there's only certain jobs they can do. Farming, cooking, and cleaning, and mining, I think, are the only ones. Color-coded mood bar. Pawn moods are important to keep track of. because you see Zebra over here in this example, he's about to go on a mental break pretty soon. You know, he may just hide in his room being depressed, or he may start setting shit on fire. And this just is an easier way of getting you the heads up. You know, by default, you know, the backgrounds are all gray, and you may not notice it when it's getting low, but with these color-coded mood boards, you're going to see that red. Fishing, I probably, you know, I maybe did not have to include this as the essential, but it saved my life many times when I was out of food in winter and had no time to grow anything. Bedrolls, set up camping stuff, a similar deal as the fishing. I find it very helpful because, you know, when they're on a trip, when they're on a caravan, running around the map, they can still go on mood breaks, but allowing them to use their bedrolls instead of just sleeping on the cold hard ground, that helps a bit. Especially one, I believe it's this one here, or maybe both of them, allows them to sleep in tents, so they do not get the slept outside mood debuff. Alright, so let's get started. Alright, now, these are the default starting scenarios. Crash landed, you start with 3 people. You're from a technological civilization, so you already know how to do electricity, you just have to gather components for it. You see here the starting material you get. Lost Tribe, you get 5 people, which is excellent and very handy. Your researching is slower than for the other starting scenarios, and by default you do not yet know how to do electricity. You have to research that yourself. One thing that irritates me is that about this starting scenario is that by default you do not know how to build beds. You can only build bedrolls, and you do not start with cloth. You have to grow cloth or kill a bunch of animals, and that takes forever. Until then, your colonists are getting a negative debuff for sleeping on the ground. So I find that very irritating, but it's something that you can work around. Rich Explorer, you get 1 guy with a lot of money. Well, you get 1 pawn, maybe it'll be a woman, and some good research. Naked Brutality, this is for the well, is basically put into the core game because people like this challenge scenario. You start with nothing, not even any clothes to wear. You're just by yourself, naked as a jaybird, trying to survive. And that's fun sometimes. Really hard to do. Basically, you know, when I did it, it's just a situation where I'm like, I just keep trying over and over again until finally, through partially luck, I survive long enough to get the second colonist. But anyway, let's do the standard crash landed. Alright, now the way they do the difficulty is a little bit different. Events are decided by the storytellers. Typically I either go Cassandra Classic or Randy Random. Cassandra Classic is more of a standard slow build and difficulty sort of deal. Phoebe Chillax, here, let's read this because I hardly ever use her. She gives a lot of time between disasters to build a colony, but beware, at high difficulty she's as hard as everyone. At high difficulties, that's true for everybody. You put it on rough or savage, and Cassandra acts like Randy. Randy, though, he's crazy. It basically means anything can happen at any time. You can get, very possible, 3 days in a row, a raid, a manhunter tribe, and a downed psychic ship. So let's steer clear of Randy and put it on medium difficulty, since this is our first colony. And commitment mode means that saves are automatic. You cannot just do your own a save and just go back to it whenever you want. But we're going to do reload anytime mode because it is our first colony. Alrighty. Typically you want to typically you're good staying with the defaults on this. If you don't like starting locations, you know, you can randomize a seed. You can go back and randomize a seed. You can do higher globe coverage. The higher the globe coverage, the longer it takes for the globe to load, but only the first time you load it upon each time starting the game. So like, we start out, and the first time you click on that world map, it'll take a little while to load on the 100% coverage, but after that, as long as you do not turn the game off, it'll just pop right back up. Temperature and rainfall, pretty intuitive. I mean, you can give yourself a snowy ice ball if you want, but we're just going to go with the normal. Alrighty. Oh, good. Alright. Now, if possible, I always like to spawn next to one of these civilizations shaped like a house because they have better goods to trade. The tribal factions, they have stuff to trade, but the technological civilizations, they have guns and other things you may need that will be difficult to build yourself. Now, when you want to make sure you're spawning next to one that is friendly, though. You see here, Eureka are neutral. That means they will trade with us. These guys here, Brotherhood's Crag, oh, they are also neutral. There we go. Mahashop, they are hostile, which means they will kill us if we... Yeah. Well, spawning close to them I don't think it actually makes them attack you more, but, they're not going to trade with you. You see in your caravan there, you have to bribe them to get their hostility down, and that's expensive. But before we spawn here, we want to look at the growing period. It is 40 days out of 60. Down here is year-round, and for a start, that's probably where you want to go, because you've got to get that food for you, and it can be hard to, especially for a beginner, to get enough food for the first winter. Oh, tropical rainforest. Okay, now typically you want to start in temperate forest. The tropical rainforest has one big drawback. It's the illnesses that your colonists can get, the sleeping sickness. And that is a pain in the ass. But we're going to go ahead and start here. And other than the sleeping sickness, it's pretty similar to the temperate forest. Okay, go back. We're too close. If you spawn too close to them, it'll make them unhappy with you. So we don't want to do that. Alright. Now, this is where it gets a little bit complicated. And, a lot of advanced RimWorld players, assuming they don't want to cheat and do prepare carefully, they'll spend like an hour on this part trying to find which colonists have exactly what they need. Basically, you need typically you need pretty much everything here. If you're spawning in a mountainous area, which I believe we are, we need some good mining because we want to use that for shelter. But before we start finding a guy and looking at their skills, let's have a look at the first things you want to look at. Health. Some of that will be an issue. Frail here means he is going to go unconscious easy. What else have we got? Any scars, for some reason, they cause a little bit of pain, and that gives them... it makes it a little bit easier for them to go on a mental break. Not much, and honestly, it's just very difficult to get a decent pawn who doesn't at least have a scar. Down here, though, is where you have positive traits or negative traits. He is a misogynist, so any women in the colony are not going to like him. He is not going to like them. They're going to be fighting. They're going to be causing each other to go on the mental breaks, and you just don't want to screw with it. There are ways around that. You can set it to where you can change their work times where they're not working at the same time or the same area, but typically you just want to get rid of them. Definitely not a pyromaniac. And while we're on this guy, look at what he's incapable of doing. All pyromaniacs are incapable of firefighting. You'll get some of them that are incapable of doing very important things, like dumb labor. That's what I was looking for. That means he cannot haul, he cannot clean. He also cannot craft, he cannot cook. Well, this guy's pretty much useless, isn't he? Yeah, I mean, his plants are decent. I'd probably get this guy if not for all these drawbacks here. Can't do these things, plus he's abrasive, is basically a misogynist against everybody. He just goes around all the time being a jerk and spreading hate. But anyway, skills we were looking for. You're going to need somebody who's good at constructing. You're going to need at least one person, usually two-person, who is good at plants. I would suggest at least a 9 on plants. Same with that one person who's good at construction. You usually need a doctor. You can sometimes get by if you don't have one right away. You usually want shooting, you usually want melee, but with only 3 colonists, sometimes you're going to have to say, well, we just don't have a person who can do good shooting, so we'll just have to settle with traps until that changes. But okay, so you're good at construction, good at social. That means you can get cheaper prices. That makes it easier for her to recruit prisoners and get them to join. Animals, that will be handy. Okay at shooting, okay at melee. Okay, incapable of carrying or artistic. Incapable of carrying means that she can't take care of sick prisoners or sick people. That's okay. Mm-hmm. She does not like drugs. She is a fast learner. She is kind. She is a good one. I'm going to go with Ryoko. And her middle name is Oni-san. Okay. Now who we got here? Not liking this one. Oh yeah. Well, the thing about addictions, I know you have feelings on this, sweetie. I agree. If it were not a survival situation, I would let this guy stay with this. But we do not have go juice, and that means that he is going to go on mental breaks every day, and then he is going to stay in bed for weeks at a time until his addiction is basically until he basically breaks his addiction, and we just don't have time for that. Whoa, this is a good one. Wow. Yeah, we are definitely getting this person. Wow, okay. 13 medical, 10 intellectual. See, I usually have to skip the intellectual with just 3 people, but this is good. Plants are decent, cooking is decent. Typically, for your planters, you want at least a 9, but you see these 2 flames here, that means he's going to learn plants very fast. So yeah, we are definitely going with this guy. Let's see, do we have another miner? No. So, because we are in a mined area, we need a miner, but we also need another planter because until a Nelson learns better plants, we're going to have to rely on somebody who already does it a little better than average. So, I hate to, yeah, that's decent mining. But then again, you see, ex-wife, that means they're going to be bickering, so, yeah. So I'm looking for somebody who has good mining and good plants, and there we are. Oh, misandrist. That means she does not like men, so she's going to be fighting with Nelson, but I think we're just going to have to take that. Mm-hmm. Medical is a 6, which is decent. Construction, she can build walls. probably don't want her doing too much construction, though. She's failed attempts at construction, waste materials. So I guess Ryoko is going to be doing most of our construction. So team skills, this is where you see where you're strong and where you are weak. I believe that means the best shooter is a 5, best melee is a 5. Yes, that is correct. So other than shooting and melee, we're doing pretty good. Let's get started. Alrighty. The three of you awake in your cryo-sleep sarcophagi to the sound of sirens and ripping metal. You barely get to the escape pods before the ship is torn apart. Sometime later, you land on this unknown RimWorld. The pieces of the shredded starship fall around you, and you start making plans to survive. Alrighty. Oh, we have... Hey! Mandy, check it out! We're getting that beach house we talked about. Yeah, alright. Okay, so we want to keep this map. If we did not want to, we could re-roll. Let's see, we got Rhinoceri. Okay, before I do anything else, I'm pressing the space bar and this is pausing it. You see our speeds here. Regular, fast forward, super fast forward, paused. You do pause for, especially if there's a raid. By default, I think it automatically pauses when you get a raid, but for some reason not when you get a mad animal or a manhunter. So you've got to watch those notifications. Once you get all that set up and you're just letting your pawns do their thing, you put it into triple fast forward. But now you see, like I said, all this stuff is forbidden. Let's unforbid everything. Alrighty. Have a look at our map here. Alright, that's something I was wondering about, if the jungle has berries, and yes it does. Why does this look like temperate forest? It said jungle. Oh well. Well, yeah, I mean, you're getting some marshy areas, and that can be a bit of a pain when you're trying to build. Can we build bridges in vanilla? Yes, okay. So that'll be helpful. Alright, so you see you've got ruins typically, and you can use those for starting locations, and that's what I'm going to do. Let's see. I'm basically going to, I'm going to take all three of these buildings and give them their own room with it. Now you can put them all in the same room, but it's better for their mental health if they all have their own room. So you see, I'm going to architects, structure, and here's the walls, here's the wooden door, and later on you can change the material that you want to build this stuff with. For now, we're just going to do wood. Furniture. They all need a bed, naturally. Now, some of these are too small to get everything we want. Well, actually, one of these is too small to get everything we want. Actually, instead of doing that, what I'm going to do is divide this into 2 rooms. And that way we'll have room to do our dresser and everything like that. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so it's going to be a little bit uneven. That's okay. Okay. We still might not get everything we want here. Okay, this is what we're gonna do. There we go. This is a bit of an awkward fit that I don't I don't normally do it this way, but okay. We want to get the comfort items in here. See, there are two things, the wooden end table and the dresser. It adds a level of comfort to the room, which makes it easier to keep them in a good mood. So the wooden end table is not there, we need that space. Always at the head of the bed or it will not work. I don't think it matters as far as game mechanics go which way it's pointing. Dresser. There we go. Yep. So these two are probably going to get a debuff for cramped quarters, but I think that's alright because, you know, it'll be worth it because of them having that dresser and end table. Now, this is a funny one. Always make sure they have a table and a couple of chairs so they can eat on those, because if they eat without a table, it pisses them off. Alright. Next thing we're going to do is get our farm started. Now the first thing you want to grow is rice, because it is the quickest thing that grows. And you know, you start with some prepackaged survival meals, but that goes pretty quick. So first thing you're going to grow is rice, but as quickly as you can, depending on how long of a growing season you've got, you want to switch over to corn. Where's the corn? There we go. Now corn, I think it takes the longest to grow, aside from the trees when we research how to grow trees later, but you also get a lot more food from every plant harvested. Alright, so we're about ready to go, but there's one more thing. We need a storage area for this, because if you leave your supplies out in the open, no roof or anything like that, they will deteriorate. You know, you leave stuff out in the sun, you know, it starts to get all cruddy and crappy and useless. And it's the same thing here. So now we've built the walls. Well, we have not built them yet, but we set up the blueprints for the walls and the doors. And what I did not explain earlier, what I was doing here is the build roof area. Usually they will build the roof by default, but you know, if you want to make sure, you do that. Now, here's maybe a little bit complicated. Stockpile zone. Now, you can leave it like that for the start. You know, by default, it's where you put your food and pretty much everything else, not the chunks, not the corpses. And they'll just start loading everything up in there. Later on, you'll want a separate stockpile zone and storage facility for your food and stuff like that. But for now, they're just going to share. Alrighty. Okay, yeah, by default, you get at least one starting animal. You know, I usually edit the scenario so that I do not get a starting animal, because I just don't like having to keep track of them. If that starting animal dies, then whoever his owner is going to have a big mood debuff for a long time. You know, somebody's fur baby dies, it is very hard to keep them happy. Alrighty. And we are at a place where we can triple fast forward now. Right. Yeah. Now you want to get on the work orders and make sure everybody's doing everything that they can do. See, a lot of times by default it'll only have like one person who's doing growing, even though more than one of them can. The darker the square, the worse they are at the job. You know, if you get that red square over the check mark, you don't want them to do that. You know, the lighter the square, the better they are at it. Now, You can also get a little more in depth by setting the priority. Firefighting, always priority 1, same as patient, same as doctor. Oh, apparently here is a mod that I forgot to uninstall for this little tutorial, but that's okay. Priority hauling. Over here you have regular hauling, but you know, with this mod, you can say, let's find an example. You can say haul this now. So you have regular haul and urgently haul. And it looks like they're already getting on the corn. I would have preferred she did the rice first, but that's okay. She'll get to it. Right. Looks like the first night, at least a couple people are going to be sleeping outside on the ground. That's okay. Anything else we can do? If you run low on food, berry bush. You double click them, it selects every berry bush on the screen, and then you can just click harvest. We're not going to do that yet because we don't need it yet. We may later. And here's something I forgot to do. I forgot to arm them. Okay, so you're my best shooter, so, well, actually, I'm not going to wake you up. I'm going to wait until you wake up on your own, because if you wake them up when they're sleeping, you know, before they wake up naturally, it gives them a little bit of a negative mood debuff, but so we'll just wait a minute. As soon as you get up, we'll give you that gun. Fowler, what can you do? You're a 2 shooting. What about you, Beers? The guy's name is Beers. Huh. Well, it seems like this tutorial is just like programmed to piss you off, Mandy. Oh, she's getting her a good nap, isn't she? Alright, now get the gun. Shit. Alright, so, she ate without a table, so we're going to have to build a table closer because that pissed her off. Furniture. Yeah. And next time they grab one of these meals, you know, after the table and chairs are built, they'll just take it right to this table and chair here. Now, you'll find yourself sometimes saying, the table was right there, why the hell didn't you eat on it? Or there was food right there, why didn't you just eat it? Okay, Oni-san, I'm going to set your construction priority to 1 because it's almost the end of day 2 and you have not finished these beds yet. Where are you at? Yeah. What are you doing? What the hell are you doing? Oh. Duh. I mean, I've got like 1,000 hours in this game and I still forget basic stuff. She's out of wood. So what we're going to do in that situation, chop wood. And from there you just, like you just saw me do, you just kind of pull it out and select a swath of wood. So we're going to have to make sure they do some plant cutting. All through the game, you're going to be changing the numbers on this work menu. You know, just prioritizing whatever you need at the time and changing it back again. Ow. Leg is asleep. Alright. Now these animals, I think my best animal person is an 8. These animals would be good for defense. The drawback is, if you fail to tame them, there's like, I think with rhinoceri, it's a 10% chance that they will attack your pawn. And if you do successfully tame them, they eat a lot of food. So we're going to wait on that. As soon as this construction gets finished, though, we need to start looking at building us some walls. Now, the first raid is it's always just some naked person with a club. It's nothing to worry about. But they do get a little bit more of a problem, and the mad animals can be annoying. It's usually nothing you can't handle. I just much prefer to build walls to keep them out rather than draft my pawns to go and shoot the thing when it goes nuts and starts attacking people. Especially if it turns out to be one of these elephants or rhinoceri, because those will be a problem. And oh, need recreation variety. There's another one I always forget. Horse. Okay, refuse visitors until I have guest beds. But okay, horseshoe pen. Okay, I'm just going to put it right in the middle of the cornfield. For added comfort, a lot of players, they like build chairs at the distance. And, that puts them in an even better mood. But I'm not going to do that just yet. Maybe later. And I'll go ahead and put a chess table. Okay. Alright, so my construction is done. I'll go ahead and put this chess table. And they'll all be using that chess table too. Alrighty. So we're off to a pretty good start. Mill source. Yeah, once these pre-packaged packaged survival meals run out, we're going to need a stove and a kitchen. Alright, this is where you name your town and your faction. Eastern Teredic. As good a name as any. And Lakeston? Okay. I thought that was more oceanic, but okay. Yeah, the names don't necessarily make sense. Like, you'll get named like a Highland Prairie in like the middle of the jungle. But alright. We're currently at a point where if we want to, we can just kind of chillax. I'm not going to do that though. I'm going to build us our walls. Now you see this geyser here? I'm going to give us a little bit of space around that because later on in the game, I am going to want to use that as a power source. No, that's going to be quite a bit later in the game. Probably won't even get through it in this tutorial. We're just doing the basics, basically. Okay. And later on, I'll go back and put doors all through it. Okay, so you see here we got some marshy ground. Already the mad rat, and you see I pressed the space bar to pause it. We'll deal with the mad rat in a minute. Alright. We'll just put our doors in the areas that have not been constructed yet. Yeah, it'll do. Yeah, there we go. Alright. Where's the mad rat? Fowler. Okay, Fowler, you just kind of hang out in here for now. And Oni-san, hopefully you can kill the rat for me. Oh, wow, first shot. That never happens. All right. Now, a lot of times what happens is that a mad animal will it'll bite somebody. And when that happens, you want to designate a bed as a hospital bed and right-click to make the wounded person get in that bed immediately. Now, because it's just a bite, by default, the pawn treating that bite, will try to get the medicine for it. In fact, this is something I should have done earlier. I should have forbidden the medicine, because this is good medicine. We need to save it. And if we don't forbid it, then the pawns are just going to be using that to treat stuff like bruises and stuff. But, typically, if he's just got a bite, you put him into bed. But you do want to get it handled quickly. Otherwise, you can get an infection. And an infection is a pain to deal with. And with an infection, you definitely do use the medicine because you want to get that taken care of, or else you might have to cut off his arm or he dies. But okay, no one was injured. And, they don't have to eat the rat. They're good on food, but I'm going to go ahead and show you what to, how to field dress your animals and all that. So here I've created a butcher spot with the architect menu, production, butcher spot. You see the crafting spot is right by that. Now, this might be a little bit more complicated than it has to be, but go to the butcher spot, bills, add bill, butcher creature, and we're going to select do forever. So whenever there's a dead animal from now on, assuming it's not forbidden, they're just going to take it up here and do what she's doing. All right. Now, when the food runs out, well, as long as they got these prepackaged survival meals, they're going to go for those first. And if there's a cooked meal, they're going to go for that first. But when the cooked meals and packaged survival meals run out, they will eat the raw food. And that puts them in a negative mood debuff. So, to fix that little issue, we are going to build a stove. Now, I don't know if we want to go ahead and build our first kitchen. Or if we just want to put our stove in the storage area. Let's go ahead, might as well go ahead and build our first kitchen. And apparently I believe they are going to need some more wood because they still got walls to do. And actually, let's, well, no. This is the right size for a kitchen, but I want it to be closer to the food source. Alright, so we're going to build two things here. We're going to build, okay, we'll look at that in a second. We're going to build a storage area for food, and we're going to build a kitchen to cook food. So who's new lover? Okay, Beers and Oni-san. Okay, now, so they're going to have positive mood debuffs as long as they do not break up. What we're going to need to do, though, is they're going to want the same room and the same bed. So it's helpful that they're already basically in the same spot. So let's deconstruct this wall here. We'll uninstall this bed. We'll uninstall this. In fact, let's uninstall all of this. So one of these doors is going to have to go. Deconstruct, and we will replace that with a wall. Haul urgently so that these can be put in storage. Now what? Check this out. So some chickens just randomly decided to join, and it's more than I can feed. That's okay though, because what I'm going to do, well actually we'll do that later, but I'll show you later what I'm going to do about that. First, we need a double bed for Beers and Oni-san. Okay. And where is the end table? We will install that here. Alright. Now as for these chickens, we do not want them in our farm. They will eat our crops and we will starve to death. That happened to me when I was a newbie. I couldn't figure out where all my food was going. The damn chickens were eating it. Lost everybody. So, we're going to create a new zone, an allowed area for our animals. Click on zones under architect, zones, expand allow area, manage areas. You can create a new area, or you can, yeah. You start off with one by default that doesn't really do anything. Chickens. Okay. Close. Now expand allow area, chickens. Where do we want our chickens? Let's put them here. And this can be the chicken coop right here. In fact, let's go ahead and put a door. Furniture. Animal sleeping spot. How many chickens do we have? There's quite a few. Alright, that'll do. Alright, now we want to make sure our chickens stay in there, so we click on animals. And we'll just make sure they're all in the chicken area except for Neutron because he is a husky. And alright, so you see the chickens have gone to our area and they've got plants there. They will have no trouble finding their own food without getting into our farms. What is this? Okay. Yeah, do me a favor and build this double bed for me. Thank you. Okay. So you see, yeah. See, if you don't build bed fast enough, they'll just go to bed wherever. Oh, shit, I clicked the wrong thing, but that's okay. Set owner. So it was Beers and Onsen. So we want Beers and Onsen sharing the same bed, and that's going to put them in a better mood. Because if they're sleeping in separate beds, they're lovers, they're going to have negative mood debuff because, you know, they want to sleep in the same bed. And we can just wait on the rest of this stuff. Oh, yep, some chickens are reproducing. Alright, it's going to take a while to finish them walls, and then how are we on food? We have 18 left. I think each colonist eats like one a day. Probably the husky is getting some too. In fact, definitely the husky is getting some too, or else he would have been injured trying to get one of these boars. There's a lot of stuff to hunt. Yeah, we're definitely in the jungle. Capybara. Wild boar. Monkeys are a lot of meat. Yeah. You know, it almost makes me wish I'd had more shooters, but, you know, that's alright. You know, hunting is kind of inefficient to begin with, to be honest. You know, if possible, it's easier just to get you your crops. Looks like our wall just about finished. Okay. Just in time, too. And yep, you see it automatically went into pause. For me, it automatically goes into pause. You may have to go into your settings to make sure it does that by default, but that's okay. And oh, this one is not naked and has a knife instead of a club. That's different. Okay. Well, see what you gear. Wow. You got a shirt and pants. This is actually the first time I've seen a first raider come in here with clothes. Alright. Go jurisdiction. Alright. So, even disregarding that go jurisdiction, there's not a lot of reason to try to keep this person or recruit her. No, she's got decent medical, but, well, not decent, she's got good medical, but, Well, I tell you what we will do. Assuming she survives, just to be nice, we're going to stitch her up and let her go. Where's the other bed? Okay, I think somebody probably has the bed on them. They're just carrying it around. Yep. Okay. So, somebody install this for me. And Beers, it'll be you. Alright. Alright, now, you saw me do this on accident. Prisoner. And, you know, let's go ahead and... Beers, you can do that too. Okay. So, another thing we wish to fix. Now, did it say she was attacking immediately, or is she preparing first? Okay, animals. Neutron, I need you to get to safety, because she's going to attack you, and yes, she is preparing first. She's not attacking right away. Okay. Onsen, won't you build that door for me? Beers, what are you doing? Okay, I don't know why Beers was unassigned, but okay. Beers, you're sharing a bed with Onsen. That is right, isn't it? These are the two lovers? Lovers, Nelson Beers, yep. Yeah. Yeah, I was just clicking through these menus and I did not explain them at all. Okay, let's go ahead and do that before we deal with the raider. Bio. This is the same stuff we saw when we were selecting the pawns. Needs. This is where we see specifically what's causing their good or bad mood. She has very low expectations, which I believe they all do. Opinion of her lover, Beers. Her lover is Beers. Okay, she likes him. Initial optimism. When they're just starting out, they get a little debuff, a little positive buff there. She's sweaty. Yeah, it's the jungle. Minor pain. She's probably got a scar. Yep, stab scar. Want to sleep with Beers. Apparently, he does not feel the same way. But anyway, health is good. Social. This is where you see what she thinks of everybody, and you can even see their interactions. Chit chat. Let's see. Yeah, I wish I'd thought to look at this right after they became lovers. We would have seen something funny, probably like I don't know. It's just weird. Like you get something like Beers made a joke about ants. Now Beers and Oni-san are lovers. But you see their gear, the log. Beers and Oni-san shared beliefs on the link between artificial intelligence and the absence of aliens. Oh, Fermi paradox. Oh, there we go. Beers charmed Oni-san by describing her as a bright aurora. Oni-san became aroused and agreed to become Beers' lover. Fowler talked about laundry with Oni-san. Okay. But anyway, it is time to deal with this raider. So, we have selected all of our pawns. You know, just zoom out, drag, and draft. Who's got a gun? Okay. So Beers, you're not going to be in on this, but I'm going to go ahead and have you grab this knife. So I undrafted Beers. So after he grabs this knife, he's just going to go get to work on something. Oni-san and Fowler have guns. So they're the ones I want to take care of. Sahamona. I'm just going to call her Salmonella. Okay. Alright. Now when she gets close here, yep. Okay, so I paused it. She's going to chase one of us. Shit. I waited too long. She got a piece of Fowler. Yep. Ah, shit. So we're going to have to heal Fowler. He's cut. Shit, she may kill him. She is fast. God damn. Okay, Beers, we need your help after all. Shit. Okay, now I'm going to do something risky here. When you run in between a person who's shooting and a person they are shooting at, there's a chance they will accidentally shoot the friendly pawn. But damn it. Shit. Okay, she took him out. Shit. What the hell is her... Wow. Okay, one melee, and she still did that. How bad are you hurt? Pretty bad. Okay, I was going to save her, but this is going to be all I can do. Okay, so she's dead anyway. Wow. Okay. Fuck. Alright. Welp. See, so we want to take that off of prisoner designation and onto medical. And put this onto medical too because we need beds for both of them. And I'm going to make sure, yeah, only sand you rescue Fowler. And forbid the body, we'll get rid of that later. And forbid the silver, that's money, we want it. Knife, we don't need the knife. I think by default they're not going to do anything with the gold juice. But I'm going to go ahead and prioritize hauling that. And as soon as he gets it into the storage, I'm going to forbid it. Haul urgently the gun, because I don't want that laying outside and just rusting. Okay, now you see, sometimes, yeah, they just try to do something different. Wait, we'll never do doctoring? Shit, don't tell me that Fowler is my good doctor. Okay, no. Okay, now, you see that my doctor is hurt. We're going to have to do something special here. Self-tend under the health tab. Okay, that's going to have to be turned on. Now, prioritize tending Beers, and he'll just stand there and handle that himself. And this no longer needs to be medical because he's standing. So, I feel like this about wraps it up. I mean, we're pretty well started here. From here, you can pretty much figure out some things. Already tending to Fowler. Let me think. Is there anything else you would need to know just to get started on this game? Medical emergency, Fowler. That's because he lost a lot of blood. But alright. Looks like you're doing alright. Oni-san, go ahead and build this door. I know I'm waking you up, but okay. Set owner. Because I made it medical, I'm going to have to reassign them. There we go. Well, I believe I will do a second video, but for now, this is a very good stopping place. I am the Southern Nerd. If you like this video, please like and subscribe and hit the bell-shaped thingy, because the bell-shaped thingy lets you know when I do something else. Otherwise, YouTube expects you to just guess. I hope to see y'all next time.